Good morning, students. Welcome to another biology class. I hope you all are fit and fine and utilizing your time, valuable, precious time in your studies. Okay, students, you remember that we are studying the chapter tissues. Do you remember that? And we have covered studied different types of plant tissues, right? And we have also started studying animal tissue. And in the last class, what we have studied? We have studied that the epithelial tissues are of various types, like simple squamous epithelium, stratified squamous epithelium, columnar epithelium, ciliated columnar epithelium, then cuboidal epithelium, then glandular. These 6 different types of epithelial tissues are present in different parts of the human body, if you can remember. Okay, and the squamous epithelium, if you can, these are what? These are flat squeeze cells present in the wall of the blood vessels and present in the alveoli of the lungs. Do you remember that? And then we studied about the cuboidal epithelium, where the shape of the cells were like cube, like square, a cube. Okay, and they are present in the ducts, in the tubes of like salivary gland and tubes of the bile ducts. Okay, and we studied about the columnar cells, and some of the columnar cells which are like a pillar like, which are long, elongated. At their upper portion, they have got an upper surface, they have got somewhat hair like structure called a cilia. They are called a ciliated epithelium, ciliated columnar epithelium. They are present in the respiratory tract, okay, in the nasopharynx area of human body. And then we also studied about the stratified squamous epithelium, the squamous epithelium, which the flat squamous epithelium, which consists of many layers, yes, and that is distributed in the skin of human body or animal body. Okay, we studied all these things in the last class, if you can remember. So today what we are going to study, that means we have covered the epithelial tissue. We know now, other than epithelial tissue, human body or animal tissue consists of many different types of tissues. Okay, different types. Now today what we are going to study, if you can remember, we are going to study about what? Connective tissue. Today's topic is connective tissues. So after this class, you will be able to list out or name or tell me, explain the various characteristics of what? Connective tissue. Okay, and then you will be also able to name various types of connective tissue. You will be able to explain different types of connective tissue, the structure, the function. Fine. So let us get started with today's class. So in the beginning, let us know the characteristics of connective tissue. See students, always in biology, go for the names. Connective tissue. Why the name connective tissue is given? Because this tissue connects the different parts of the body, connects one part of the body to another. Okay, anything came to your mind? And name of any tissue? Like, yes, you might be thinking of blood. Yes, is not it? Now another very important, this tissue, this connective tissue, of course it consists of many cells. These cells are what? These cells are loosely spaced. Epithelial tissue, do you remember? The cells were tightly packed, no space between the cells. But here it is just opposite. The connective tissue cells have got lots of space between them. And in between that spaces, what is there? There is no air or vacuum. There is what? There is a matrix. I told you that epithelial cells have got very less matrix between the cells. But here, what is there? There is matrix. Okay, and these matrix are of different types. Some of the matrix are fluid like water. Some matrix are very dense and rigid, like very hard. Okay, some matrix are like jelly like. So this matrix varies based on the function of this connective tissue. Okay, these connective tissues have got various functions. Some of them are giving support, some are flowing. Okay, so based on the different functions, the nature of the matrix is also different. Fine. Okay, so now let us know what are the connective tissues that we will get to know. Number one, you can see there is what? Blood, very common connective tissue, is not it? And then bone is another connective tissue. Cartilage, if you can see in the image, cartilage, another connective tissue. Areolar tissue, okay, adipose tissues, These are what? These are the major types of connective tissue that we will get to learn. In today's class, we will include what? Only two connective tissue, that is the blood and the bone. Fine, we'll start with the blood now. Blood. See, blood is what kind of connective tissue? Fluid. It's not rigid. It is what? Fluid. Okay, fluid connective tissue. Now this fluid connective tissue, this blood, it consists of two components mainly. Number one component is what? The fluid, watery fluid called as plasma. In the image in front of you, did you see one test tube? Okay, in the test tube, do you see that yellow colored part and the green colored part? That yellow colored part is the water. It is a fluid called as what? Plasma. And the red colored part, which is below, which is settling, it is the what? It is the cells. It is a solid part. That means the blood consists of water part and solid part. Water part is called as the plasma. Okay, now see how important is plasma. Plasma contains different proteins, salts, and the hormones, animal hormones. And this plasma is also important because plasma is transporting the food which we digest from one part of the body to another. This is also transporting the respiratory gases, okay, carbon dioxide, oxygen. This plasma is also transporting the waste materials which the cells produce after utilizing the food, okay, and also the hormones from one part to another. That was about the plasma, the fluid part. But what about the cells? Did you see the circle? In the circle, have you seen three types of cells? Let's just have a look. Red colored erythrocytes are there, and then some large, okay, blue colored leukocytes are there, and some like what? Some kind of irregular shaped cells are there called thrombocytes. That means the blood consists of what? Three types of cells. Let us know them, okay? Now, see, blood consists of three types of cells which get dissolved into what? Plasma. They are erythrocyte, which we commonly call as RBC or red blood cells, leukocytes, which we commonly call as a white blood cell, and thrombocytes, which are also called as platelets, right? Now, each of these three cells have got an important function, okay, unique important function. Number one, RBC. RBC's function is what? RBC transport oxygen. WBCs, the leukocytes, they are important because they provide immunity to the body. They fight against any foreign body that enters into our body, okay? And platelet is also important because it is coagulating or clotting the blood. Whenever we get a cut in our body, have you seen clotting of blood? This clotting is because of presence of what? Platelets. Fine. So what we studied about blood? We studied first the characteristic that blood is a fluid tissue. Then we got to know about the components of blood. Two components, mainly the plasma and the cells. The plasma's function, we know that it circulates many things all around the body. Then we got to know about the three types of cells, the RBC, WBC, and platelets and their respective functions. Okay. Now, let us move to the next type of connective tissue, bone. Okay. See, bone is what? Bone is very different from blood. If blood was fluidic, bone is what? Rigid. It's not flexible. Bone is the strongest of the connective tissue, even strongest of all the animal tissue. This bone, what's the function of this bone? This bone tissue, it forms the framework of the body. What is a framework? It forms a cage of our body. It's not it. It is forming the hand, the legs, and the whole structure, the framework, okay, of the body is formed by the bone tissue. Other than that, it also anchors the muscles. Anchors means is holding the muscles in our limbs. Okay, you see the bone is there. Over that bone, the muscles are attached, right? And a very important function is that the bone protects the various organs present in our body. Like our heart, lungs are protected inside the rib cage, right? Then our kidneys are also protected inside the bony cage. Okay, so bone is very important to protect even our brain. Our bone cranium is protecting the brain inside, right? Okay, now that was about the what function. Now what about the structure of the bone as a tissue? See, this is the strongest and a non-flexible tissue, I already told you, right? It's the strongest of all the animal tissue and it's not flexible. The bone cells are called as osteocytes. Remember, osteocytes. C-Y-T-E-S, cytes means cells. Always remember, students. Any word you find cytes, that means what? Cells. And if they are bone cells, we call them what? Osteocytes. O-S-T-E-O-C-Y-T-E-S, osteocytes. Now, in the image, did you see the osteocytes? Yes. And did you see that these osteocytes are surrounded by a matrix, very hard matrix? See, students, these osteocytes are the bone cells and they release out the matrix. And that matrix is very hard. It's not fluidic like blood plasma. It's not jelly like. It's very hard matrix. And this matrix is secreted by whom? By the osteocyte itself. This matrix consists of what? Calcium and phosphorus. Okay, now the image that you see, it's very important. Have you seen that image, that kind of image of bone earlier? No, right? So this is a microscopic view of bone. What is the image showing? Some cells are there, cells are embedded, cells are pit inside the hard matrix called as what? The bone matrix, okay? And that matrix consists of the calcium and phosphorus. So what we understood, students, about the bone? That bone is the strongest tissue. Its function is it forming the framework, it's protecting the very major important organs, and the bone gives the space for the muscles to adhere, to attach. And we got to know about the cell of the bone, that is osteocyte, and the matrix, which is hard, right? So students, let us revise what we have learned all throughout about animal tissue. We learned that animal tissues are majorly divided into epithelial tissue, muscular tissue, connective tissue, and nervous tissue. In the last class, we studied about the types of epithelial tissue like squamous tissue, cuboidal tissue, columnar tissue, ciliated columnar tissue, glandular tissue. And we today learned about the fluidic connective tissue, that is the blood. And we studied about one kind of skeletal connective tissue, that is the bone. Okay, what we have studied about blood, that blood consists of the fluidic part, plasma, and the various functions of plasma related to transport. Other than plasma, blood also consists of three types of cells: red blood cells, which are also called as erythrocyte, white blood cell called as leukocytes, and platelets also called as thrombocytes, right? And then we studied about the bone, the hardest and the toughest tissue, toughest of the animal tissues. And that bone consists of the osteocytes, and osteocytes are surrounded by very hard matrix, okay? And that matrix is secreted by the cell itself, and that matrix consists of what? The calcium and phosphorus. That's why it's told to build our what? The bone strong, we should always have the food which is rich in calcium, like milk. Okay, how many of you are drinking milk every day? Please tell me after the video. So I hope you have understood about these two type of tissues, two type of connective tissue that we have learned today. Okay, so thank you for attending the class. Happy learning.